All right, let's pivot away from our sport. Let's go to a sport that's dead. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the authority on America's pastime, which might be left in the past time because deals cannot be made. There is currently a lockout happening between the owners and the players of the MLB, and there's only one person that has all the information for us. Great friend of the show, ladies and gentlemen, Jett Passan. What up, Jett? Troy Aikman's trying to reset the market over there at ESPN. I hope you go ahead and knock on some doors. You know what I mean?
Hey, I love it. If that deal gets done, that's a great new teammate, and we'll take it. Speaking of teammates, though, Pat.
Yeah, buddy.
It's been interesting. During the lockout, I haven't had to go and cover spring training, so I got to have Valentine's Day with my wife. I've been married 15 years. Valentine's Day for the first time because I'm always at spring training. It was fantastic.
Love. Romance.
I bring this up because I know love, what real love looks like. Or I thought I knew what real love looked like until I checked my Twitter account last night. Boys, bring up the photo. You could zoom in on Gump's face right now. Has there been anybody more in love with anybody than Gump is with Jon Hamm right now? Look at how happy he is.
Got a baby grandpa.
Look at that.
Thank you, John.
Teach him how to sacrifice bunt, don't you?
Oh,
just a happy guy at all times, Jett. You know me.
I think it was because of the big bat. You know, he loves a good big bat, Jett. I think that's the entire thing. But that conversation with Jon Hamm last night, I don't know if you got to watch it all. I know you saw the picture of it on Twitter. He was amazing, Jett. Like, by the way, Gumpy's not the only one that's in love with Jon Hamm right now.
Yeah.
I am as well after listening to this interview. He's like one of the sexiest people on earth.
Confession, back, God, it must have been almost 10 years ago now. Jon Hamm did a movie called $1 Million Arm. It was about a couple of kids in India, one of whom, Rinku Singh, I believe, went on to become a wrestler in WWE. But Jon Hamm's doing a movie on this whole thing. And as part of the promotional tactics, they invited a group of sports writers to be extras in the movie. And I was among the group who got invited down there. And I have to say, Gump, I'm kind of with you. Like, Jon Hamm in person is a sight to behold. He's a devastatingly handsome man. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. I'm comfortable enough to say that. I feel good about that.
Yeah.
But I see why Gumpy is as in love as he is.
Yeah, Gumpy, I mean, that moment, I took like 4 or 5 different photos, and that was definitely the most Gumpy. I mean, look how happy Gumpy is there. It was a good question. It was a good comment. He sat there for like 50 minutes, headphones on, camera sitting on his stomach, and he knew everything about hockey, had like actual takes and actual opinions. He was so wide up. He confirmed that he would want to do the Town 2.
Yep.
Yeah. He basically said, like, hey, Ben Affleck, if you want to do it, I'm 100% in. Talked about being at Wrigley and how awesome it was. I mean, he was in. I didn't know much about him. He actually is like coolest dude on earth, I think, man. It's we're very lucky.
The only negative thing about him is he's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. But aside from that, he's great.
So you don't like the Cardinals yet? Let's dive right into it. Let's dive into baseball. Obviously, this national journalist, voice of baseball, doesn't like the small town.
To say Cardinals. I have to.
So why don't you like the Cardinals? What happened with the Cardinals? Or you got no problems with them?
I'm from Kansas City. I have a 20-year running joke where people from St. Louis think I hate the Cardinals because I live in Kansas City. So, no, nothing against the Cardinals at all, other than they suck.
Well, Tone Diggs from Pittsburgh, he hates Cleveland. Sure. And one guy last night from Cleveland said he's going to punch him right in the mouth for not liking Cleveland. He's a bit, so you're sticking with it. All right. Anyways, Jett, let's get into the baseball here. I mean, you're the guy that everybody looks to find out what the hell's going on in a sport that, has been dwindling over the years in popularity for whatever reason. I believe, because I did not play and grow up in it, game's too long, too slow, who cares? But there are diehard fans of baseball. Ty is one of them. Gumpy is one of them. You obviously cover it. And right now is devastating times in baseball. Hockey went through this a long time ago and it almost killed the league. It almost completely killed the league. Now, granted, they've been able to come back and restore faith in the fans and everything like that. But right now, baseball is... Their fans are even struggling to even have loyalty right now, right? Isn't that something that's real? And do the owners and the players recognize that, you think?
It's very real, and I don't think the owners and the players recognize that. I think both of them are staked out in positions that are so strident, that are inside of this bubble where we're trying to divide up billions and billions of dollars, and sometimes you do that and forget about the fans. And I understand why each side is doing what it's doing. The players are as strident as they are because they have the moral argument in this case. The reality is the way that the league has treated them over the last decade or so, salaries down for 4 straight years, service time manipulation, so some of the best players in the game don't get called up when they should, tanking, which long before it was happening in the NBA and the NFL, you saw it happening in Major League Baseball. All of these things leading to a worse game, and the players are sitting there saying, we're tired of this shit. Like, we are just tired of it right now. And I was talking with a player leader a few days ago, and his whole thing was, we just want to stop being screwed. That was his message. We feel like, even though, yes, we are in privileged positions playing this game, making tons of money in many cases, and doing this in front of an adoring public, at the same time, we want what's fair.
Yeah.
And they don't feel like the offers that they're getting from the owners are fair right now. On the other hand, the owners are like, hey, we have a great situation and we don't want to screw it up, because they've seen what's happened before when they've done that. So they're holding on as hard and as strong as they can to all of the things that they've got. And the problem with this is you've got two sides that are entrenched in their positions, and so entrenched in those positions that they may not be seeing the forest for the trees. And unfortunately, if baseball loses games, Pat, you're going to start losing fans. Not just casuals. You're going to start losing fans who have stuck by the game when it's been at low points, when it hasn't been as good as it is right now. And doing that with everything that you just said earlier about where the game is could be catastrophic.
Yeah, so, by the way, I appreciate you saying everything you just say and letting us kind of in on what you're hearing and not hearing. Every time you come on here, I feel like I legitimately learn something, and I'm very, very, very thankful for that. With that being said, anytime a lockout happens or there's collective bargaining negotiations, it seems like the public, or in this case, the baseball purists, think that the baseball players are a bunch of spoiled brats, right? That's kind of how the public narrative has always been in all of these type of public negotiations. With that being said, whenever they say they're getting screwed, you hear the big number for all the big-time players and what they're getting. Sure. But there's a lot of other players there, right, that aren't signing the hundreds of millions of dollars deals that are also being represented in these negotiations. When you're talking about the service time and the call-ups and the tanking and trying to put people in bad spots, while these dudes are also on the road, right? They're on the road 200-some days a year. Yeah. Like, this is an entire thing. You would think that the public would at least side with the players a little bit. Is that the case? I don't know baseball purists enough. Is this standard lockout stuff where the fans are on the ownership side and telling the players to shut up, or do you feel like this has been rather split?
I think it's changing, Pat. And I don't know if baseball is some sort of a forebear for the future. But when I look at polling back from 1994, I think there was a New York Times poll done, and of the respondents, 40% said they were on the owner side, 20% said they were on the player side, and the other 40% didn't know, didn't care. There's been one poll that's out, and I suppose it shows just how baseball has fallen in the eyes of the public, because this poll had 24% on the side of the players and only 11% on the side of the owners. And I think the reason behind that is twofold. Number one, social media has completely changed the dynamics here. And with social media, whereas in the past you had corporate media that had been around forever and for whatever reason felt aligned with owners, there was nobody there in the public sphere to check that. There is now, and the people who are checking it sometimes are even louder or have even bigger voices. But the second part, and I think this is even more important, we don't like billionaires like we used to. I'm dead serious.
Very valid. Very valid.
I think, I'm not trying to get political here, but if Bernie Sanders has a legacy in America, I think it's opening people's eyes about what a billionaire had to do to become a billionaire. Generally speaking, you don't become a billionaire by playing nice. You don't become a billionaire without stepping on people's throats, without kicking them when they're down. And I'm not saying all billionaires are bad people necessarily. What I'm saying is if you have reached that point where you have the obscene wealth that nobody could possibly fathom, and you have the great divide in America where so many people are lacking, are wanting, are struggling, well, we're going to look at billionaires who are trying to hold on to their money and trying to keep it away from the working man. Granted, the working man in baseball is not your average $15 an hour laborer. It happens to be someone who is incredibly skilled, gifted, and has worked unbelievably hard to get where he is. Nevertheless, he is still labor. He is still a worker. He is still part of that rank and file that so many people out there, I think, can actually understand. And so I think our evolution as a society toward casting aspersions and looking sort of askew at billionaires actually plays in the player's favor in this case.
I think Bernie was driving in a $250,000 car whenever he said that. But I do believe, I am thankful that is something that's real.
No. But Pat, okay. So I'm glad you brought up cars. Did you see yesterday there was a tweet from the Associated Press about how Max Scherzer arrived at a Porsche to the meetings yesterday. Now, Max Scherzer, remember, one of the best pitchers of his generation, just signed a contract for the largest average annual value a year at $43 million. What, do you expect him to show up in a Volkswagen? Like, number one, of course he's not going to.
He's a successful man. Nobody's going to take him serious.
Yeah. The context that was not included there is that the owners who showed up did so in private jets, right? They're the ones who have the most money. And so I think something like that getting called out, which wouldn't have happened in the past, the AP got absolutely flayed for it, and rightfully so. Because you know what? If Max Scherzer isn't driving a Porsche, I'm going to ask him what's wrong with you.
Yeah, and by the way, back in the day, that would have led to an entire narrative conversation about, oh, look at this spoiled man who shows up in a Porsche that was given to him by these owners he's talking to. And that narrative is then force-fed into everybody's brain. And this is, it has to be true if all these people of importance, media, sports media, baseball writers, that would become an entire thing. And to your point, with the way social media is, you can kind of combat all of that. I loved your take, and I didn't mean to bury the hypocritical stance of Bernie Sanders, a guy who wanted to tax people 90% and everything like that. I mean, very fascinating. Where's that money going then? To your paycheck, basically, which comes from the government. So, I mean, that's a fascinating thing where you're negotiating your contract up every single time. But I do like the fact that is kind of exposed. And I feel like we've been a society that has been against the man. I come from a working class family. I think a lot of people have against the man. But even more so, it has gotten heightened and broadened. And I do believe Bernie Sanders is a part of that entire initiative. And if that is going to carry into sports negotiations, that's great for the players. With that being said, do the billionaires give a single fuck at this point? Like, I was reading through your thread.
No. Yeah.
Ty read through your thread at that point. Ty read through it. The billionaires also, if they didn't, step on people to get all the way up there, they were either born in it and they have no idea what it's like to not be, or to remain there once they get up there. They have the greatest lawyers and the greatest clauses in contracts. Like, that has always been a thing in negotiations, especially at these high levels. We read through your thread, Ty did, and you're saying they're $50 million off a year for 5 years, so it's like $250 million they're off. Is there a deal that's going to be made? Because I guess if they don't make a deal by Monday, you guys start canceling games, and that's when you're saying it's going to become a real problem. Are they anywhere near, from what it sounds like, they're nowhere close. Is that an accurate depiction? And how do they get a deal done?
That's a completely accurate depiction. There's nothing right now. There's been no movement. It's been inching on both sides. And it's been a lot like a game of chicken, honestly. They're just waiting for someone to blink. They're waiting for someone to make the big move. And the owners say, why should we make a big move? We've made the more incremental gains toward you. We've given up more toward you than you've given us. Now, I don't know that that's true entirely, but that's the owner's perspective at this point. The players are like, okay, we're in a system that's garbage right now. And granted, Pat, it is garbage in some ways of their own volition. Let's not forget, collective bargaining agreements are two-sided documents. Like, the things that are in place right now were negotiated by the Players Association, by MLB. But it's a matter of whether they're being enforced in bad faith. It's a matter more than anything, I think. Are you doing things by the letter of the law or by the spirit of the law? And the letter of the law says, yes, it is okay for a team to hold a player down, even if he's major league ready, through April, right? You can hold him down because doing so allows you to get an extra year at the end where he's not a free agent. So the way it works, I'm going to get a little wonky here. I'll try and get through this very quickly. You reach free agency in Major League Baseball after 6 years, 6 full seasons. To get a full season of service time, you need 172 days. What the Cubs did back in 2015 was they sent Kris Bryant out, even though he was the best player in the Cactus League, sent him out to AAA, and then called him up so that he spent 171 days on the roster. He was 1 day short of reaching free agency a year earlier. Now, he filed a grievance.
Genius.
Filed a grievance. And argued on his behalf. The league went and argued on their behalf, and the arbitrator ruled in favor of the league because the way that the rules are written allow for that. That is the letter of the law. The spirit of the law says that if you're going to have a 6-year reserve period, make it 6 years. Don't make it 7 years. And that's why the moral component of what the players are doing right now is as compelling as it is, because you see these, I'm not even going to call them microaggressions, they're macroaggressions that the league is perpetuating on the players, and the players sit there and say, I'm done with this. Like, this is our game. Sorry, you're the laundry, we're the product. And the fact that they are able to say that, and I think more people are recognizing that, hearing it, acknowledging it, gives them more power than they've had in the past. The problem is, how often, Pat, do moral arguments win financial negotiations? Not very.
That's the whole thing about a lot of stuff. Like, the internet can win a narrative, okay? But in court, just like you said, the letter of the law there, the spirit of a lot of things is something I think we all are striving for. But the actual, and I always say this, hey, fairy tale land, we want this to be true, okay? Like, we are not against this. We wish this was true. But in reality, hey, this is where we live. Reality, that's not going to work. Like, that's just not the way it is. It's happening right now for Brian Flores in the NFL because of a contract he signed on February 4th, 2019. And his lawyers are trying to paint the narrative on the internet, which I appreciate because that is a problem in the NFL. And we do have to get that fixed. But the way they're going about it, it's like there's no chance he wins. Like, with the way they're acting. Like, in actuality, in real life, we wish it would work because the spirit of things, but in the actuality, you have to, this is just the way the world exists. And the way that you're describing this is exactly what was happening between the NFL and the NFLPA when we had our lockout, right? We wanted everything to be in paper because in paper is the only thing that actually matters. It's right. You have to always expect the way that something can be taken the absolute worst. So people are called dramatic for that, but there's reasons for that because you have.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up because that to me is one of the hearts of the issue here. It's incentive versus guarantee. So let's look at service time manipulation. Kris Bryant is the poster boy in that, but listen, there have been others. There have been plenty of guys who have had their service time manipulated. The players want to address this, and the league's solution to addressing that is to say to a team, if you have a player up at the beginning of the season and he spends the whole year on the roster and goes and wins an award or finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year, something along those lines, then he gets a full year of service because he's been with the team, and the team gets 2 draft picks, one in the domestic draft and one in international draft that may or may not happen. The players look at this and they're like, no, because the reality is those picks that they're offering are not equivalent in value to that year of a good player at the end of his 6-year reserve period. So the players are saying, you know what? If we come up, no matter when we come up, if we succeed, top 5 Rookie of the Year, if we're one of the 7 best at our position. Doesn't matter when you came up, you automatically get a year of service. You retroactively can add to it. The players want the guarantee because they don't trust the teams to follow the incentives.
Well, you can't trust anything that's being negotiated. Can't. You literally can't trust until it's on paper. You literally you can't trust anything because the amount of clauses and the amount of things that they can get on the back end. I like the fact that the players are like, no, you can't just say like we will do this. Like you won't. We know you won't because it's been displayed in the past. But they got to get a deal done, and it doesn't sound like they're anywhere close. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Jett. Bob Manfred has become a punchline, and he's just a doofus and a dipshit, and we all make fun of him. But do you think if there were to be a change in leadership and they did get a new commissioner, like would that do anything to help this process? I feel like he's just hampered it the entire way through. Everyone knows he's just a lapdog for the owners. So would that even matter? Do you see something like that happening? And in your heart of hearts, do you think that they're going to get a deal done by Monday, or are we looking at a situation where we're definitely not going to have 162 games?
Ty, let me ask you a question first. Do you know when the last time Rob Manfred was in a collective bargaining meeting?
No, I don't.
October. When was it?
It was April.
Oh, okay.
It's been almost a year now. He has stayed away.
And
he stayed away because, generally speaking, the commissioner doesn't go in on those sorts of things, even though Rob Manfred has been a big part of it in the past and was a labor negotiator himself.
And an idiot.
I think Rob Manfred is one of the best things the players have going for them because he's someone around whom they can rally. Like, you want to get solidarity among players, bring up Rob Manfred's name. Even like the most pacifistic guys who I've known for years and really don't care about anything. What are you counting, Pat?
Perpetuating macroaggression, pacifistic. I mean, the word.
All right. See, hold on a second. Do you remember them?
Yeah, dude. We have like one of the. I mean, this thing's like an elephant up here. All right, I'll use that on Friday. I'll use that on SmackDown. I mean, this guy's perpetuating macroaggression. Normally, he's a pretty pacifist,
but not tonight.
Not tonight. Sorry about it.
No, I think Manfred honestly is good for the players, and the reality is, let's remember what a commissioner is. A commissioner is not a figurehead entirely, but a commissioner is a worker for the 30 owners. He answers to them. And, the most effective commissioners can sort of cajole and guide and push them to where he wants them to be. But in the end, he has to answer to them. So I think anybody who is installed in that position might have a better ability to speak publicly and not put his foot in his mouth like Manfred has any number of times. But is it going to be any better? No. In terms of the season, Ty, I'm not confident right now. I mean, they have a lot of work to do over the next 96 hours or so if they want to get a deal done. Now, that doesn't mean a deal can't get done, but someone's going to have to make a big move. And I just don't know which side's going to do it at this point. I mean, yesterday MLB came out and said unequivocally, if there's not a deal by February 28th, we are going to miss games. Is that the sort of thing that pushes the players perhaps to go and make the move? Or are the players going to sit there, call his bluff, and say, you know what, we feel like even if we are losing money for this, that the moral stand that we're taking, the thing that we're doing for future generations of baseball players is going to be worth it. And that is a risk. That is a big, big risk to take because the risk is people just don't come back. They say, we live in 2022. We have every kind of channel streaming out there. We have YouTube. We can go and watch Pat. We can watch other sports, entertainment. It's about to be summer. We can go outside. Like, there are so many great things to do. Why am I going to waste my time on something that doesn't care about me?
So for you guys in this world, for us, for instance, Jeff Saturday was the one cajoling through it all to, talk to Kraft and them. And allegedly he's the one that got the deal done. Like, hey, NFLPA lawyers, all right. And to the NFL lawyers, all right, let's just go directly here. Media. And he was kind of like the face of almost being the one who said, all right, enough. Our guys have already lost too much money. We're about to lose the game. The fans have already turned against us as players, but as a sport as a whole. Who would be the player that would do that, you think? Is it Max Scherzer showing up in the Porsche, or who would be the person that would have to get that thing done?
Max Scherzer is going to show up in the Porsche, kick him in the stomach, give him a stunner, and then throw double birds at him. That's Max Scherzer.
Imagine if he did. Imagine if Scherzer did. We watched So every once in a while, we'll just watch old Stone Cold clips on YouTube.
Yep.
There was one where that glass breaks and he walks out, doesn't say anything. He walks into the ring, boom, boom, stuns somebody, bang, flips them off, walks out, and the music didn't stop. And just he leaves the entire thing.
All time.
It was one of the greatest things. I forgot it happened. What a magical. That's who Scherzer is, though, you're saying. He's the. Who would be the player, you think? Is there any players that are going to end up, and who would be the owner? Who's the owner that is kind of guiding all this? Obviously not that dumbass Bob Nutting. Like, who are the two you think that we can look to potentially get a deal done?
It's funny. I've talked with people who have been in negotiations in the past, and they talked about these back channel sessions that went on. There is no back channeling going on in baseball right now, and I think that's you bring up a great point there. The fact that they don't have anybody who's doing the back channeling at this point, I think speaks to the divide between the sides. And maybe that person comes when they start losing money, but until then, I don't know who it is anywhere, frankly, because the disgust going in both directions is unlike anything I have seen. The frustration, the disappointment, they both just feel like the other side sucks and that they are intractable and not willing to move, and that the other side is the one that's hard. Yeah, write it down. Intractable, INTRACTABLE.
Is it IBLE or ABLE? Yeah? ABLE?
Yeah, you got it. ABLE. Yeah, you got it.
I'm not a pretty speller, too.
They like, I wish, as someone who wants to see baseball games, that there was someone who could bridge the sides. I just don't know who it is at this point because they are so angry at each other.
Interesting. Very fascinating. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Jett, do you see a world where maybe they just kind of get rid of single A, double A, triple A and go with like a more of a G League like the NBA? Or are they going to try and save everybody in this scenario?
I mean, what would be the difference between the G League and the minor leagues? I almost feel like they're kind of the same at this point, right?
Well, like tons of teams and tons more players in the minor leagues, correct?
Okay. Yeah, no, they're like, if they did that, it would be catastrophic. Just because in the NBA, like, you generally know who's a dude, right? Like, you see a couple guys from Europe come back every now and again and wind up in the league. But in baseball, there are diamonds in the rough all over the place. And the fact that they have most organizations have 160, 170, 180 minor leaguers in place right now. There's no doubt Major League Baseball wants to contract some of those. I mean, they were trying to get a proposal through the union that would have allowed them.
Oh, gone.
Late.
No. I was actually early. That thing
pulled it.
Right there, bro.
Right off the pole.
Should have seen what park I was in.
Rolled over it.
Yankee Stadium.
That's in a river.
Yeah, in Yankee Stadium, that's gone. I've seen old buddy hit a grand salami that way.
That's right, Johnny Damon.
I was there 2 rows behind him, man. Took a piss next to Giuliani. Did not wash his hands. He got
he didn't, yeah.
He got the
Purell.
bacteria on his way out there. Anyways.
You took a piss next to Giuliani.
Dude, it was crazy, bro. It was crazy. So we, I don't want to interrupt anything you're saying, obviously, but it was a great time.
That was an incredible day.
That was the best baseball I've ever seen in my entire life.
Day.
We got these hilarious seats from SeatGeek. Shout out to SeatGeek.
Shout out to SeatGeek.
Shout out to SeatGeek. We moved a lot of tickets for SeatGeek, because they are the greatest ticket buying platform on earth, and they repaid us with these seats to this fucking Yankees playoff game where we were in there. We were in that area.
Fancy area.
Yeah.
You were in the legends.
Oh
yeah.
And by the way, we are a natural group of people that don't show up early enough to really enjoy the entireties of it. We showed up as the game was starting. It was like, oh my God, we missed like 4 courses here. They had like a full buffet. They had everything. There was crabs over here. There was prime ribeye over here. There was an entire sandwich section over here, drinks over here. I mean, it was gorgeous. I don't know how much those tickets were, but
They were a lot.
We're in there. We're sitting there. We're hanging out. All of a sudden, we realize, we're on TV every single time a right-handed batter's play. Yeah, that's how close we are. So I chug a beer, and maybe the quickest beer I've ever chugged in the history of anything. We're trying to enjoy it. Ty Schmidt, massive Yankees fan. Old cousin, Giancarlo.
It's Didi Gregorius.
Didi, hits a grand slam right in front of us. We go bananas. It was awesome. But Giuliani and I, about 6th inning, the bladder was talking, go in there, and it was normally a pretty active bathroom, and I was waiting in line, and then I get in, and then there's Ty's there, and I think Foxy was there, and Ziti was there.
Yep.
So, but nobody else ends up in the bathroom. Like, we're kind of in there quietly. It was because there was like security shutting down the bathroom almost. Giuliani comes moseying in. He almost does like the leg lift up the shorts into the urinal, and then he just walked out. I was like, oh shit, is what I actually said. Oh shit, while I was peeing. And then he said, gentlemen, how you doing? And he just turned around, walked out, got a little hand sanitizer, and he was gone. And then the bathroom was back open in public. It was crazy. It just so happened to be in there. But
the security really did a terrible job, didn't they? Like, if there were a bunch of people in there, who needs security to take a piss?
Well, also, like, we would be the people that you would not want in there. But we were already in there. You know, I just think, I don't know how it works, but I'll tell you what, gentlemen, he's right, gentlemen.
Cordial.
Gentlemen. And they're just fucking out of there. So whatever the case, love baseball. I took your pitch fucking yard. Neither here nor there to get this entire thing back. Go ahead, Tone.
Jett, I haven't heard, have the players come out and said like how short a spring training can be, depending on when the deal gets done, if they can start on time? Like, do they need the normal allotment of time, or it could be just a couple weeks? Have they talked about that?
Great question.
Thank you.
Major League Baseball is taking the perspective that you need 4 full weeks of spring training. They're basing that on 2020, when they had a 3-week spring training after they implemented the season to 60 games. And the argument from the league side is that injuries went up in 2020. Therefore, we want 1 week longer spring training, which is why they're putting that deadline at February 28th. The idea would be for players to report March 3rd, and then March 31st would be opening day 4 weeks later. So that's the perspective behind that. Players think spring training is too long already, frankly. Like, it's not like the old days where dudes would show up and have to loosen their arms throughout spring training. I mean, guys train year-round right now, and pitchers are going to be ready. So I think that there could be a 3-week spring training. I think the idea of predicting injuries is honestly folly to begin with. They're athletes. They're going to get hurt. It's going to be freakish. It's going to suck when it happens. But I just don't know that the difference in injuries makes it such that you cut off a potential week in negotiation.
All right. Well, we appreciate you so much for stopping by, Jett. Please tell the kid we said what's up. And, yeah, you're the man, dude. Hopefully baseball gets something done. Doesn't feel like it's going to happen, though.
Is everyone, like, are you guys going to be doing the show at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I might come to town and swing by.
Oh. You're going to be at WrestleMania?
You got to be quiet, because the little one doesn't know, and it's going to be for him and for his birthday. So announcing it on a national show, probably a shitty thing for a dad to do if he wants to keep it a secret. But I want to get ready for that face-to-face meeting, and I'm going to strike you out, McAfee, and it's going to be embarrassing.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, no need to end it that way. You're already proved to be a bad dad. No need to say things at the end. But no, we'll be down there, man. That'll be great to see you. I can't wait for that. That'll be cool. And hopefully the kid, WrestleManias are incredible.
Unbelievable.
They are. The whole city gets taken over, basically. Yeah. The amount of moments that happen in there. It'll be great to see you, man. We'll be pumped about it. All right, we'll see you then. Ladies, hopefully they'll have a deal done by then.
No way.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jett Passan. All right, we got to get to a break. A lot of baseball talk.
Yeah, baseball.
Covered it probably for the next.
Scandals.
I was going to say, won't need to talk about it again until probably mid-July.
That's kind of what we do with Jett. We talk to him like every month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
What's going on with baseball?
Unless there's a scandal.
That's big. And by the way,
that's the best.
That's where we are right now.
That's right.
The game doesn't exist.
That's when you love baseball.
The league stinks. League's dead.
It is.
Jett Passan's the man, though. He is a good voice for baseball.
Yes, he needs to save it. It's on him. I didn't want to say it, but if we don't have a season,
it's on him.
It's on Jett.
Yeah, because he's talking to both sides.
Exactly.
He said there's no backdoor channel talking. It's like they're doing it to you.
You are the back channel, my friend.
Jett, save baseball, Jett Passan.
Please.
All of us.
That's what we'll tell him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to his kid, by the way.
Yeah.
He's going to be pumped.
It's an international show, please. Speaking of international, hope everybody's all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
T's and P's.
We'll be back on the other side of this break with more bullshit to hopefully distract from the real world. That's our gig. That's our job. We understand our role, and we'll continue to do so. See you in about 10 on Sirius. Cheers. So, we fucking home run right there.
Yeah. That was a yabo.
I thought for a second you were maybe going to break it
51
and come back with 9 seconds.
Well, to be clear, I was.
Okay.
And then Zito was like a minute till actually hard break. Okay. We'll
do that one.
We will wait.
Perfect. Okay.